What's shaking there, gentlemen? I was thinking earlier today about Doge and how all these bureaucrats and these departments are screaming bloody murder. That they're being streamlined, or there's mass firings. And it kind of occurred to me that first of all, the Democrats, they have really put themselves in a bad spot. They've put themselves on. They've made themselves the opposition, or they're standing in opposition to progress, to change, inevitable change. They're standing in contrast, or to stop that change, and it's just going to steamroll them. Like these departments in the government. Like the Department of Education. I've been using AI for a little while, and it occurs to me that the fact that they're arguing to keep the Department of Education, it kind of reminds me of the Civil War. The South fought the Civil War because of slavery, but little did they fought it because of their way of life. They thought they were, it was endangering their way of life, or it was change. They were fighting change. But the irony of the situation is the Industrial Revolution happened almost immediately thereafter, and slave labor would have no longer been economically feasible. So they literally fought the Civil War over a moot point. They just didn't know it. They just didn't know it yet. And if they had gone another 10 years, slavery would have been abolished simply due to it being inefficient. It would have been easier to pay someone a wage, and pay them a wage to work a field or whatever, than it would be to pay their way, their health care, their food, which is what you had to do when you owned you were responsible for their surviving, and it was expensive. So I have no doubt in my mind that slavery was dying, and the institution, a Western institution of slavery, was dead as a doornail by 1870 with the Industrial Revolution, and I feel like that's exactly what we're on the verge of, and the Democrats have made themselves the opposition of this change, but it's coming whether they like it or not. These people that work in our government are going to be fired whether they like it or not. Whether it's today or in 10 years, we are not going to need teachers anymore. I've been using Grok, and that AI, it's literally what everybody always dreamed Google was, or what the sort of meme of Google. Just Google it. The AI is what Google was supposed to be, or what everybody. You can just Google it. You could find anything, but it was like digging through a pigsty to find stuff, and then they've closed off most of the internet. It's not, I remember when I was a kid, it was huge. You could go all over all kinds of different. Now everything's the same. You do any Google search you do, you get the same few searches. But teachers, that's not going to exist in 20 years. It's not going to exist. These pencil pushers in the government, they are not going to exist. That job isn't going to exist. So I feel it almost reminds me. It's like arguing with your like you're getting a divorce and you're arguing with your wife about what color you should paint your home before you sell it in the divorce. It's a moot point. It doesn't matter. It's this, all these things that are being argued about. We're just trying to get ahead of the curve with Doge. It's like, yes, all this stuff's going to be gotten rid of eventually, but it's like they're just. It reminds me of like the Titanic, rearranging the deck chairs, but that's not what it is. And also, I was thinking about the deficit, and We didn't used to deficit spend $2 trillion a year. That was insane. You wouldn't even consider that. And we had COVID. Then we had COVID. We had coronavirus. And I think, the the bureaucracy, they got their foot in the door. They got us to agree and be okay with a $2 trillion spending rate. With a spending increase, a $2 trillion spending increase, and they got their foot in the door, and somehow, and it gives credence to that old, those old sayings that, they only make new laws, they never get rid of them. You only give up freedom, and that's kind of how that is too. It's like, once you give them they don't want to give up their budget. Every year the budget just gets bigger. It never gets smaller. Their workforce never gets smaller, it only gets bigger. And, that it just seems to me like they saw a golden opportunity for a con, for for corruption, for graft. They saw a $2 trillion, boom, money bags. They saw a $2 trillion scam, is what they did. They saw a $2 trillion payday. And I almost want to say, and then they started freaking out about Ukraine, oh, we've got $2 trillion. Where can we embezzle this money? Where can we wash this money and get it back home in our pockets? And they just, Ukraine, we got it, Ukraine, we'll do Ukraine. We're financing the victim, so we're not considered a colonial oppressor. And, and they've just turned Vladimir Putin into this boogeyman. And I just don't see him as a boogeyman. And I mean, he, if you watch those Jeffrey Sachs videos, Putin, when he was a younger man, pretty much came out and said, "Are you guys nuts? What are you doing, encroaching on our stuff? What are you doing? This is our sphere of influence," And they just, the hubris and stuff just blows my mind of Obama and these bureaucrats, Ickspittle, bureaucrats, long live anarchy, Ickspittle. Oh man, but it's they saw an opportunity for that $2 trillion. They said, "Oh wow." They just extended the budget by $2 trillion, yet we don't have programs. We don't have yearly programs that we're spending that money on. That money's up in the air next year. And all of a sudden, like octopus tentacles, it just fans out of, they couldn't figure out how to spend it fast enough. You see, they gave that fat walrus Stacey Abrams $2 billion. $2 billion. That is so crooked. That is so corrupt. So crooked as a barrel of snakes. It's disgusting. So disgusting. And they wonder why nobody has any sympathy for them. They're apparently they're mainly a bunch of crooks. And it kind of it riles you, like that's so messed up that you could just get millions of dollars in grants. Why wasn't I in on the scam? Why couldn't I be in on that scam? Who knew that you could just invoice the government and get millions? Who knew? These corrupt, crooked ass politicians. I mean, my goodness, it's so crooked. And it really bothers me that all these people, that these nonprofits should not exist. No, this is bad. This is bad. Not only that, it makes me jealous. It bothers me. It bothers me on a personal, a moral level, like a visceral level. Like, it's offensive. That's offensive to me, that they're giving out They gave Stacey Abrams $2 billion. Really, really, $2 billion to give people solar panels. Wow. And not only that, something that's always bothered me. These conservative shows like Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, they're conservative, and then in their commercials, they're talking about tax experts who can show, oh, the government's giving away this money if you fit into this category, or if you have tax problems, the government's got grants, and that money's only going to be available for so long. I mean, it was like Megyn Kelly's was doing that, and I'm just thinking, I get it. You have to make money, and yeah, you need advertisers, but really, are those your best advertisers? And is the government paying that much money to where these lawyers and people can afford that many ads, that much ad time on all these shows? Then that is an absolute scam. That is an absolute scam. And the fact that Ben Shapiro, they underwrite it by literally doing ad reads or them being it chaps my ass when I see people advertising to help you take advantage of government money. That is crooked. That is so crooked. This government is so crooked, and it needs to be taken down a peg or two. Thank goodness it is being taken down a peg or two, because they have just gotten way too comfortable pissing our money away. I mean, it's incredible how it's so at scale. It's on such a level. I would say this is borderline evil. Because like Elon says, they're spending somebody else's money on people they don't know. But then you have all this fraud and all these people frauding Social Security and all these other things, and then they open the border, and and that's what they did. They took that $2 trillion and started bribing the people of the world, the poor of the world, that where welfare was a better life for them than where they came from. It just turned on this huge magnet. They took that $2 trillion and you wielded it as a weapon to bludgeon their own tax base with. The people who paid that money, they took that money and wielded it as a weapon. They weaponized our tax money against us, our tax revenue against us, and then used it to try and subvert our vote. To attract the poor of the world, to flood and to overwhelm our healthcare system, to overwhelm our school system, for our children that we pay taxes for, to overwhelm the community or welfare, or I forget what they call it. They used to call it community something. You would go community assistance or something. But and people used to be ashamed to take money, and they would pay it back to the government, But now it's like that should be there, Sometimes you can't catch a break. There are you could be a good person and then just something bad happens to you, you get injured, and then it's like having your head stepped on while you're drowning for a year. If you have kids and stuff, I mean, I can't blame people who go on welfare or go on assistance for a period of time to get through. I would do the same if it would suck, but I would do the same if I had to. But we need our people. We have people starving here. We have people suffering here. And I didn't used to think this way. I feel like because the party has gotten bigger, and more people, more moderate people, more people from the left, or maybe just because I've experienced the human condition or life, that I'm still conservative, but I'm not so callous about it. you know, there but for the grace of God go I. So, you know, I try to have a little bit of empathy for, you know, and not judge people for going through tough time or having, you know, to do what they have to do. I mean, and we need that, and I'm glad we have, you know, have some of that. You know, I think sometimes it goes too far, but it's just funny how I feel like because the party has widened and because Trump has really more or less taken the center ground, he's boxed them out of the center ground. And I have kind of softened because of that. I do understand, you know, I do compromise. You know, there is room for that. There is room for a little bit of help. You know, I mean, ultimately, I feel like it's a slippery slope, but at the same time, you know, you know, I'm not so sure. I mean, I am quite libertarian, but I mean, I'm not going to fight over it, you know, more or less. I can accept it. But it just seems wild to me how, you know, how we're on the brink of a technological advancement that's going to rival the 20th century, or the industrial, as far as I'm concerned, or the industrial revolution. You know, I mean, I think AI is, life is about to get very different, you know, within a generation. And I'm totally here for it. I can't wait to see how things shake out on the other side. You know, whether or not, you know, will we have teachers anymore? Will we have, you know, what will be remnants of the past and remnants from a bygone era that only we will remember? You know, what parts of life will only we have lived through? You know, like, will there be DMVs? Will there be government workers? You know, I don't know. It's just interesting. A little bit of food for thought. Anyways, you know, like always, guys, hit that like button. Oh God, I sound like other people. You know, give me a like, or, you know, if you can hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. You know, like I always say, the Twitter handle is Crazy Ivan 407. And I really do want to start writing a Substack. I'm trying to get this channel going. You know, it's kind of a little bit of an opinion or an op-ed kind of a thing. But I would like to. I would like to do a Substack and do a piece once a week or something. That would be really neat. But until next time, y'all just take it easy. Enjoy what's left of your Sunday.